really care. I do want to, however, watch The Coldest Case Ever Solved.
When freeloading just isn't hitting the spot anymore, 9 out of 10 doctors recommend Patreon. Benefits include early access to new videos, plus exclusive bonuses to scratch that itch while you're waiting for the next big drop. Satisfying.
The rest of that video is just memes about him. So I don't want to look at that. It's not interesting to me at all. Makes sense not to put memes on the ones where people are killed or seriously hurt. No, I understand. Drama, not real.
Connor eats pan.
My man, dude. Hey, that's what you get, Connor. Get fucked, Zoomer.
What?
That's boomer power right there.
What? Boomer power?
That's fucking boomer power, baby. Let's go.
What the fuck?
Our winner tonight.
Dude, we're starting
Connor
drama, man. This is bullshit, man. You fucking face me in Mario Party Superstars, Hassan, alright? 1v1 versus mini games only. First to 5, $1,000. Alright? $1,000.
I mean, he'll win.
The pre-show is me racing Keemstar in the 100-meter dash, alright?
Okay, if you can get Keemstar to agree to that, I'm down. Wait, is there a reason why you haven't watched the Andy S one? Or the Andy B one? That's the last video we haven't watched. This is the only video we haven't watched from this channel. But from what I understand, there's like a lot of blood in it and gore in it. And that's why I didn't watch it. That's why I didn't watch that one. It's in context, dude. Oh shit. Oh, wait. Is it in context, chatter? Oh, that's really cool. Oh, if blood is in context, I guess Twitch no longer bans you, even though they did ban me in the past for it. So, I guess, thanks, man. That's really cool of you to chime in with that take. You know, considering I've been banned in the past, literally for that, let's not go there, I think. No, we watched the Prince Andrew one already. It was really good. It was one of the best ones. I watched the listed ones. Yes. Okay, I want to watch. I want to watch the Coldest Case Ever Solved, but I'm a little worried that this might have TOS in it.
While there are an array of qualities that may bring any crime or criminal into the public spotlight, there are very few things more prone to capture the public's imagination than a cold case. You might want to ascribe something noble to the attraction that many people seem to have with real-life murder mysteries. A yearning to see victims' lives honored and perpetrators brought to justice, for instance. But a more realistic, if not somewhat cynical explanation is that people just really love to know how a story ends. And when they're deprived of that, it drives them crazy. Today's story was one without an ending for the longest time, so long that when it was finally resolved in 2012, it was labeled in the press as the oldest solved cold case in American history. It starts on a snowy December evening in 1957 in the small town of Sycamore, Illinois, when a little girl named Maria Ridolph is let out to play with her friend Kathy Sigmund. The girls are playing on the street near Maria's house when around 6:30 p.m. they are approached by a young man wearing a colourful sweater. He was about average height, had blonde hair, a gap in his teeth, and went by the name Johnny. After introducing himself, Johnny asked if the girls liked dolls and piggyback rides. All of this is based off of Kathy Sigmund's account. She ran into her house to grab mittens while Johnny was giving Maria a piggyback ride. and that was the last time that anyone saw Maria Ridolf alive. The abduction of Maria Ridolf devastated the town of Sycamore and gained national attention.
Boys, I saw that Israel is bombing Gaza again. What do you want me to do about it? I will cover it tomorrow. There is nothing I can do right now about it. Okay? I'm going to wait until there's more developments, and then I will talk about it. I will cover it. But there's nothing I can do currently. I don't know what you, like, why you keep posting it in the chat and being like, dude, like, talk about this right now. Okay? It would be a violation of the ceasefire that was not long-lived. Okay? But I need more information. Okay? I'm sorry. Let's keep going.
To the point that even FBI Director J. Edgar Hoover was asking for personal daily updates on the 7-year-old's disappearance. But in spite of an intense search and investigative effort, it seemed as if Maria Ridolf and the nefarious young man who called himself Johnny had disappeared into thin air. Until about 5 months later, on April 26, 1958, when a couple that were hunting for mushrooms in a wooded area over 100 miles from Sycamore stumbled across a small, decomposed body, a body that would soon be confirmed as that of Maria Ridolf. The worst was now confirmed. And while losing a child in such a horrific manner could be said to be the worst thing a parent could possibly imagine going through, the one thing that could make such an ordeal even more tormenting still is having to live with the knowledge that the monster responsible for taking your baby's life and innocence is still out there. That is a burden that the parents of Maria Ridolf would take to their graves, as the authorities of the time and in the decades that followed would fail to apprehend the man who had taken their daughter. But that wasn't for a lack of trying. As stated, the investigation was intense and bolstered further by nationwide intrigue. In the days following her abduction, the police and FBI investigated hundreds of potential suspects, all of whom were cleared. One door they knocked on during that period was the Tessier residence on 227 Centre Cross Street, only a few doors down from where Maria was taken. The person of interest in the Tessier family certainly seemed to fit the bill. 18-year-old John Tessier, known to friends as Johnny, stood at 5 foot 11 inches tall, had blonde hair, and even a gap in his front teeth. But supposedly, logistics did not allow him to be the culprit. According to John Tessier's sisters, when police questioned his mother Eileen, she assured them that John was home all night. Besides that, the boy had no sort of history that would seem to be in line with that of a child abductor, and he was well known in the neighborhood where the episode had taken place. FBI agents took John Tessier off their suspect list after he passed a lie detector on the matter on December 10th. The very next day, he left home to join the military. And that was the last time that John Tessier's name was ever really spoken in the same breath as Maria Ridolf's. That is until 36 years later, in 1994, when Eileen Tessier was lying on her deathbed. Eileen called out to her daughter and John Tessier's half-sister, Janet. According to Janet Tessier, Eileen confided in her the following words. "Those 2 little girls and the one that disappeared. John did it. John did it. And you have to tell someone." And Janet did tell someone, yet it would still be a long time before the case was actually reopened. In the years that followed, Janet Tessier made numerous attempts to bring her mother's words to the attention of someone that might have the power to do something, but every time she was dismissed. This was in spite of the fact that she had more to offer than just the words of an elderly woman days from death's door. Though Janet was not old enough at the time of Maria's abduction to remember the event in her adult years, John's other 2 half-sisters, Jean and Catherine, were. They remembered hearing their mother tell the police that John was home all night, and the reason they remembered it so vividly was because they knew at the time it wasn't true. Truth be told, they had never been able to shake a suspicion that John was responsible, and their mother's dying words confirmed what had nagged at them for all those years.
Okay, cold case solved, I guess. I mean, I thought there was going to be more to this than, you know. Kind of wild that the fucking parents, like, hid this shit. What's the next 58 minutes, dude? That's... This was... when they said this is the longest cold case, like, I literally thought, like, you know, that this is going to be... Okay, we'll watch it. Well, why I'm
But when
watching!
Janet contacted Sycamore Police several times over a number of years by her account, the answer was always the same. John Tessier had been investigated and cleared at the time. The alleged words of a dying woman were not enough to bring charges, and the 36-year-old memories of her two daughters didn't do much to improve things. The Ridolph case remained as cold as could be. But finally, on September 11th of 2008, Janet Tessier sent an email to Illinois State Police, and for whatever reason, this time, something about what she was saying resonated with someone on the receiving end. That person was State Police Commander Tony Rapaz. He decided there was enough to her story to put two-star investigators, Larry Cott and Brian Hanley, on the case. And they uncovered quite a bit about John Tessier's past to suggest that this well could be a strong lead after all. First of all, he fit the bill of a child abductor much more clearly than when authorities first glanced at him when he was only 18 years old. His sister Jean alleged that he had molested her and other girls in the neighborhood when she was growing up. And Jean Tessier was not the only person investigators spoke to that could attest to John having sexual interest in young girls, including those in his own family. When they spoke to one of his ex-wives, Denise Trexler, she told them that she had discovered a naked photo of his 12-year-old daughter from another marriage taped to the bottom of a drawer in their house. The girl's name was Christine Marie Tessier. At the age of 34, she went missing before showing up dead about a month later, next to a drainage ditch on a local golf course. She was apparently last seen with her boyfriend, but no one has ever been charged with her murder. Investigators also came across a woman named Pamela Long, who had a particularly striking story to tell, given the circumstances of Maria's disappearance. Pamela grew up in the same neighborhood, and when she was around Maria's age, an older boy offered her a piggyback ride, which she accepted. Pamela's father, who was nearby, saw what was going on and immediately deemed it to be completely inappropriate. He ran over, pulled Pamela off of the boy's back, and strongly warned the teen not to approach his daughter again. The boy was known to the rest of the neighborhood to be strange, and the boy was John Tessier. There was no doubt about it. John Tessier had changed his name in the early 90s to Jack McCullough, taking his mother's maiden name and simply preferring Jack, and he now lived in Seattle, Washington. On June 29th of 2011, based on the discoveries we've just been over and more that we'll get into shortly, McCullough was brought in to Seattle Police Headquarters for questioning in relation to the disappearance of Maria Ridolph.
We've not been formally introduced. I'm Dave Zalaski.
Dave, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. Brian?
Brian.
Brian Hanel. Nice to meet you. Brian, I'm an investigator, and Brian's with Illinois State Police. And
With who?
Illinois State Police.
Really?
Yeah. And what you probably remember a long time ago, back 50 years ago, a young girl was abducted.
I called that in. I called the FBI about that.
Okay. Back in December 3rd, 1957.
Maria.
Maria, exactly.
Yes.
And we've been going through and doing some new interviewing and new investigations regarding that.
Yeah, I'd be glad to help with that.
And you've been divorced 3 times?
You're investigating the child, right? You're not investigating me.
Right. This is a personal history form.
All right.
We fill this out for
everybody. All right.
Our command wants us. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I just do what I'm told.
Yeah.
You know.
You know why I said you weren't from here?
Why is that?
You got a tan.
Oh, yeah.
And there's a joke. What do you call somebody in Seattle with a tan? stranger.
One interesting quality of Jack McCullough's interrogation is that he will veer back and forth between completely cooperative and hostile or borderline hostile repeatedly. For what it's worth, he was brought into the room in cuffs, so he is likely not in two minds about whether or not he is under suspicion.
If you cannot afford a lawyer, one will be appointed to you free of cost before questioning if you wish. And you understand that.
That's all good advice. I'm on your side on this.
Okay.
I'm trying to help you.
Right. I mean, like I said,
We just
Yeah, right.
gotta follow the boss's rules. You know?
yeah,
Right.
right. Okay.
Because if the forms ain't filled out,
Yeah.
Okay, when are you going to get to the good part now?
We are done with my
Okay.
part.
I had a dream, and then it reminded me of a conversation I had as a kid. There's a little grade school that's only a block away from my home in Sycamore, which is 227. Oh, you want to write that down? The address in Sycamore?
Okay.
227 Center Cross Street. I was talking to a kid, and he said, "You see that guy over there?" I was probably 17, 18, 17. Anyway, and he said, "Stay away from that kid. He wants to talk about sex." Okay, so this kid. Now I'm going to have to reach back and remember his name. I think I wrote it to the FBI. But it bothered me enough where I called up. And he lived with two boys named Davies. Don Davies is one of them, and I don't remember the other one. But he was a kid they allowed to stay with them. He didn't have a home in Sycamore.
so he's like a foster kid kind of a thing.
And on the same block as Maria lived.
It can't be said for sure whether or not McCullough's story of tipping the FBI off to a boy who is said to like talking about sex and lived on the same block as Maria some 50-odd years after the fact when the memory miraculously came back to him in a dream is true, but no records from the FBI confirming this communication have ever come to light. The investigators continue to question McCullough about his family background and then bring him back to the day of December 3rd, 1957.
Now, I want to go back to and this to me is kind of a thing. It's kind of like we all remember where we were when President Kennedy was shot or 9/11 happened.
Yeah.
And this is kind of the 9/11 for Sycamore. I mean, anybody who we've talked to who's
you're gonna like this. Go ahead.
Yeah. So tell me kind of what you remember.
Okay, there is entirely too many references to fucking 9/11 for my taste on this video. That's one. Number two, how fucking cocky can you be when you're like literally talking to investigators on a cold case on you? He's like, yo, write that down. This is called the write that down technique. Like, after watching so many of these videos, I've literally never seen someone that cocky, dude. Hey, write that down, homie. You getting all this? I'm putting it down for you. That's crazy. Okay? Yeah, right. Ayo, Charles, write that shit down. That's what he said.
Remember about that?
The day Maria was kidnapped, I was in the induction center in Chicago, joining the Air Force. I spent the entire day there, and they have a record of it minute by minute. I was really pissed. The FBI talked to me back then as a suspect, and they even interrogated me, and is because the suspect that they think took Maria had a green coat, and I had a favorite green jacket at the time. So, I'm sure they asked the neighbors, anybody with a green jacket? And yeah, Jack's got one.
So So how did you wind up at the induction center?
I don't know how I got there. I may have taken the train, but I was there most of the day, and yeah, and you can check with the FBI because they gave me a lie detector test, and I was disappointed in them, really, really disappointed, because I had an ironclad alibi of where I was, and they didn't even check, didn't even make a phone call. I was very disappointed.
Well, let's go back and kind of walk me through, because they said you let's go to the day before, because you were going downtown or something. Tell me as much as you can remember about, in as much detail as you can remember.
Oh, you mean about downtown Chicago?
Yeah. How did you get downtown?
See, I don't remember. I mean, we're talking about many years ago. I know no family member was with me, so I don't think anybody drove me there, so I must have taken the train. No.
Now, did you have to purchase your own ticket? Did they give you a ticket?
Don't know. Just don't remember it all. Is it important?
I appreciate the fact that we're talking about, over
No,
50
you're looking at me
years
as a
later.
suspect now. I don't like this.
Well, as I told you, there's been some discrepancies in, interviews that we're having, and that's why I'm trying to find out what happened on the day and where you were on the day she disappeared.
I already told you.
Well, but
I spent the entire day in Chicago that day.
McCullough's proposed alibi is that his activities around being enlisted into the military would have excluded him from being able to abduct Maria Rodolphin Sycamore at the time that she went missing. One part of his story is that on December 2nd, he travelled from the town of Rockford, where the military induction centre was located, to Chicago for a medical examination, and he had to stay overnight in Chicago for another examination in the morning on December 3rd, after which he did some sightseeing during the day. Note again that Maria was abducted in the early evening of December 3rd, sometime between 6:30 and 7 p.m.
When you got back in the evening, what did you do? This was a big day. I mean, this is a day that.
I probably crashed because it was a hard day.
So you think you were home asleep?
I'm assuming.
So why would people say you weren't there?
Who? What people?
Your sisters?
They don't know.
Well, they say they do.
They don't know where I was back then.
Yeah, they do.
No.
When we start to look at the story that you tell here, okay, we've done a lot of interviews. There's things that just aren't right. Okay. First of all, you had the nickname Johnny, I think.
Yeah.
Okay. So the person that was introduced themselves to the girls said he was Johnny. Okay. Who knows? Okay. The description of the person matches you down to the gap in the teeth.
Yeah, that's really was surprising.
Yeah, well, I'm sure, but that's what they height, the weight.
See, but that was my neighborhood. Everybody knew me. So if they had seen me on the street, Maria's parents knew me. I used to play with their daughters in the backyard.
See, and that's
This is called I knew my victim, so I couldn't have murdered the person technique. As if like most murders don't happen within the proximity of familiars. That's the second self-report, by the way.
The description isn't coming from Maria. It's
No,
coming
she was
from
she was
Kathy.
kidnapped.
Right. It's coming from Kathy, the other girl that was there. So she described somebody who looked remarkably like you and had the gap in the teeth, the same color hair.
See, I didn't hear anything about these descriptions. The only thing I heard.
Okay, guys. Yes, I'm going to keep saying technique. Okay? I'm going to keep making technique jokes. I'm sorry. Okay? I don't appreciate that you guys are making fun of me for reusing the same joke. This is literally what Twitch chat does. I am trying to be as close to Twitch chat as possible. This is something that you guys should be understanding of more than anything else. You literally still do small head jokes all the time.
Was he had a green jacket?
Well, actually, it was a sweater that was the description.
All right, I don't have a green sweater. I had a jacket.
Well, and it wasn't a green sweater. It was a multicolored sweater.
See, it's not me.
Yeah, well, but your family says that you had a multicolored sweater that was just the same description, and that after Maria disappears, that sweater disappears.
Wow, it can't be him. He had a green jacket just like the murderer. He had the same fucking tooth, like the tooth gap, just like the murderer. And he knew the fucking murdered child, so it simply can't be him.
Oh, this is bullshit.
You also told the FBI that you had some sex play with your sister.
Oh my God! I took a lie detector test.
We're talking about what you said.
Yeah, right.
Did you
What
have
the
sex
fuck?
with your sister?
And they said, he said, when was this? I said, when we were little.
Okay. Now your sister says that it wasn't just when you were little.
So?
Well, so what I'm pointing out here is that if you say you told them the FBI the truth,
Yeah.
and you were little, and yet at the same time you're having sex with your sister.
I am not having sex with my sisters.
The indignation McCullough suddenly displays at the suggestion he had sex with his stepsisters speaks to how warped his conception of the parameters of normal.
Bro, this guy was a literal pioneer, like murderer, rapist, but also this motherfucker is the... first of all, he's perfecting the leaning technique, which we know is very effective in interrogation rooms. Secondly, he was doing stepsister stuff like way back in the day, dude. Like 200 years, 200, what? Why did I say 200? Like almost 100 years before fucking stepsis porn blew up.
Normal behavior seems to be.
I said
In this
200.
exchange,
Sometimes I exaggerate numbers so much that it just like doesn't fucking... It makes no sense.
it appears as if McCullough is trying to qualify that he only engaged in some sort of limited sex play with his siblings, as opposed to full intercourse, and that it only happened when he was also very young, which given the age gap doesn't actually do much if anything to make the idea any less disturbing. Putting that aside, any remotely well-adjusted person understands that incestuous activity of any kind is extremely noxious and should be expected to express severe offense at the notion they've ever engaged in anything like it.
Holy shit, I didn't realize he was... I thought they were the same age. Oh my god, I shouldn't have made jokes about that. I did not realize. I thought that they were in the same age range.
I'm just telling you what, not just
He was like full grown.
one, but multiple sisters have said.
Right.
Okay. They also say, well, actually, Dave Frederick says that he saw your car driving in the late afternoon in Sycamore.
So?
A good rule of thumb to keep in mind with Jack McCullough is that whenever he says the word so, it is almost certainly in response to a damning piece of information. The significance of McCullough's car being spotted driving through the neighborhood at a time he claims he couldn't have been there is self-explanatory, and it's highly doubtful he's as oblivious to this as he's letting on.
Your mother also says
So this is the so technique?
to Janet and Mary that you killed her, Maria.
This is a lie. This is a lie. My mother loved me to death.
I know she did.
And she was crying when the FBI wanted to talk to me.
I have no doubt, because she also told them some lies to the FBI.
My mother doesn't lie.
Well, she said you were home all night, and the girls sat right there and said, he couldn't be in. We looked, he wasn't home. The doors are all locked. Nobody can get in without us opening the door. And your mother didn't tell the FBI the truth. Now, she may have been protecting you. But
Protecting me by saying I murdered a girl?
I think that's what she was thinking that you did here. And I think
No, this is bullshit. It's all bullshit. My mother wouldn't say that.
your mother did say that.
She didn't.
The other problem is that you're given a ticket by the military to go downtown. Right?
Sure.
Okay. So it doesn't make any sense not to take the ticket.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
The problem is that the ticket didn't get used.
This is a key piece of discovery that helped investigators unravel McCullough's alibi. When combing through his past, they interviewed a woman named Jan Edwards, who McCullough was dating at the time of Maria Rodolph's disappearance. They asked Edwards to rifle through any and all mementos she had from the time, just in case something of use materialized. One thing she had in her possession was an old high school photo of John Tessier in a cardboard frame. Concealed within that frame was this train ticket. It is a one-way...
Oh my fucking god, dude. What are the goddamn odds, bro? Like, she fucking framed it, too. It's, like, preserved. That is wild. This is, like, Final Destination type shit, where, like, this dude was supposed to go to jail. You know what I'm saying? Like, he was literally just supposed to.
Way ticket from Rockford to Chicago. And what caught the attention of investigators is that it was not punched. The reason this is so significant is that if John Tessier did not need a train to travel from Rockford to Chicago, then he must have had access to a different mode of transportation, i.e. his car. And if he had his car on December 3rd, it would make it much more plausible for him to have been able to perform his military-related activities during the day, while still having plenty of time to make it to Sycamore within the window of Maria Rodolph's abduction.
Yeah, I mean, you know how the military is. Here's your ticket to go to Rockford, or to go from Rockford to Chicago. You never used it. You know where this comes from? Jan Edwards. You know how women are sentimental, they keep everything?
Yeah.
She's got pictures of you, and she said, yeah, John gave me this.
That's really funny.
Well, I think it's not funny. I think it's...
Nah, I don't think it's funny, homie. I think you're fucked.
questions whether or not you were involved in this.
Okay, I'm going to tell you, I'm not involved. You can give me a lie detector test, I'll pass it.
Okay, all right. Why don't we do that right now?
All right.
And that's exactly what they set to doing. Zaleski goes to get a polygraph set up, while McCullough bores Agent Henley with tips about the weird kid from the neighborhood who was purported to like talking about sex.
To the chatter who asked, why do they never ask for a lawyer? So we can enjoy this content later, okay? They're idiots for our sake.
He was weird. And
How do you know that?
this kid told me, and I observed.
Okay. So you don't know that firsthand
I
that
don't
he's
know.
weird?
I
Like, what's weird?
okay, not normal.
Regular viewers of this channel will know that we don't take polygraphs seriously around here. But just because the device is useless insofar as being a lie detector doesn't mean people's behavior when sitting next to it isn't sometimes interesting to observe. And Jack McCullough is a very good example of this.
This is the second polygraph I've taken on this. First one was by the FBI, and I passed it.
When was that?
It was in 1957, I believe.
Bro, I feel like the polygraph shit, like the techniques have probably changed since then, you know what I mean?
Okay. And I'm going to pass this one.
Like there's a significant fucking difference in technology between like 1957 and like, you know, now.
As long as you stay on the subject of the little girl and her murder.
Well, quite frankly, Jack,
I
there's some questions
know there's some questions you
I
have
need
to ask
you.
for verification. I understand that.
Well, Actually, I'm going to ask you some questions about the details of your personal life.
Then
And
I'm
some
going
of
to
them,
stop answering.
This is a point of contention that will colour the entirety of McCullough's polygraph exam. His stance is that he's happy to submit to a polygraph, but only on the condition that the only questions he's asked are those pertaining to the abduction of Maria Ridolph. So questions pertaining to anything else, like incestuous experimentation in childhood for instance, are out of bounds. The problem with this from a polygrapher's perspective is that this is as good as not being willing to take a test at all, as the test is supposed to work by gauging your reactions to uncomfortable questions that are not related to what you're being investigated for, and comparing those to your reactions to questions that are.
well, here, just hear me out, okay?
Right.
Okay, that's a bit wild. It's like, what, they can't find anything that's uncomfortable for him that they can use that doesn't pertain to him, like fucking his, like that's the only thing that's uncomfortable that they can test him on? Like,
Really, we're not so much interested in that, but I need to ask you some detailed personal things about your life. Some of it can be pretty sensitive, but I need them in order to structure your question. It really is in your best benefit to answer them.
I'm gonna keep it real with you guys. I know you think you're helping when you like spam what happened to this dude, but you're a scumbag. Okay? Stop ruining it, please. Mods, you can ban, you can nuke people that keep trying to fucking link what happened to him. Okay? I mean, I do it sometimes on like super high profile cases, but like, I don't know what the fuck happened to this dude. Stop being a scumbag, okay?
In order for
Like, it's not like it's fucking Casey Anthony.
this thing to work.
I understand you have to.
I read it accidentally and now I'm
Make
annoyed.
the verifications, and you have to set your machine up. I understand. But you've read me my rights, and my rights are I don't have to say anything if I don't want to.
Right.
And so
But
if
it's
I
not
don't
gonna be-
answer you,
But it's not going to be pertaining to what you're allegedly accused of. I'm going to ask you some questions about your personal history and so on and so forth that might make you, that are a little bit sensitive.
then we're done.
Well, why don't we just go ahead with the interview and see if you don't like them,
All right.
okay?
All right.
And what is this little girl's name?
Maria Ridolph.
Okay.
And she was a lovely little girl. She was a little Mexican girl about this high.
With the last name, like, what did you say?
Ridolph.
Okay.
It was, I think the mother was Mexican, the father was
Oh, so she was biracial. And
Yeah.
they make the most beautiful kids.
Oh man, she was
Oh my god.
she was just an adorable little
Why are they having such a weird conversation, bro?
great big brown eyes, and everybody in the neighborhood loved her.
The polygraph technician, Irene Lau, would later say that whenever McCullough talked about Maria, he exhibited a degree of affection that seemed off, and this was a specific moment she cited. It's not abnormal to remark about a child being adorable, but when McCullough talks about Maria's big brown eyes, the body language he exhibits is reminiscent of someone going into some kind of trance-like state.
So basically,
Oh god,
you're
that's so
telling
terrible.
me that you have absolutely no knowledge of this.
Absolutely.
You have no knowledge about Maria's abduction.
I have no knowledge of her abduction other than what I was told.
You did not stop and talk and play with Maria.
Oh no! She was a child.
Or Kathy.
No.
Well, so what?
No.
You know, and kids play with other kids.
Yeah. I was 17 years old. She was this tall.
How old were you when you lost your virginity?
I was 20.
20? Wow.
Yep.
Who with?
With an older woman down in South Carolina after I joined the Air Force.
Have you ever had sex with a male?
I haven't had sex with a male.
Have you had sexual contact with a male?
We're done with that.
I take that
What the
I
fuck?
said, okay, what do you want? We're done.
with that particular question.
Yes.
Okay. Why?
I mean, at that point, you'd be like, I sucked the cock. You know what I mean? Like, it's obvious you did it. So, what's the problem, dude? Internalized homophobia. That's what the problem is. But, like, it's like, dude, imagine fucking being equally as uncomfortable with having a homosexual affair as you are with, like, literally raping your fucking younger stepsister. That's crazy. Like, goes to show where his fucking mentality is.
I mean, really sensitive about
What's it got to do with the little girl?
I'm trying to ask questions to help structure your test. It has no bearing on crimes, this, that, or the other thing. I'm trying to help you as best I can.
You're not helping me.
You ever been arrested before?
No.
You've been in trouble with the law before?
I had one problem with the law.
What happened?
Next question.
Oh, come on. You can tell me.
I'm glad you're my friend.
You think I'm going to tell these guys?
Yes.
Why would I do that? There's no bearing on this case.
Very good, then move on.
Come on. I need to be able to structure your
You
test.
don't need to do that.
Wait, why can't they pull that information?
Yes. Next question.
Have you committed any crimes that you haven't been caught for?
No.
Then you shouldn't have any problems with the other question, right?
Yeah. Next question.
So you don't want to answer that question, even though it's the same as the
It
other.
doesn't matter. I have a right to not answer questions. I'm not answering that question. We're trying to solve a murder.
That's right, we are.
Yes, we are.
I'm not asking these questions for love. If you tell me yes or no and tell me truthfully, I won't go any farther than that. Can you answer it truthfully?
Okay, I figured out how he beat the polygraph originally by doing this. He's like refusing to allow them to get a baseline. And polygraphs are bullshit anyway, but still kind of wild that he knew how to do this shit in like 1957, dude.
Yes or no, you've never committed a crime that you haven't been caught before.
Correct.
Yes or no?
Yes or no what? What's the
Have
question?
you ever committed a crime that you haven't been caught for?
No. If I ever committed a crime, I haven't been caught. I have never committed a crime I haven't been caught.
Yes or no?
I answered your question.
That's how I'm going to ask it. You cannot answer it like that. It's going to be yes or no.
I can't. What is a yes or no answer?
Bro. I hate to admit this, but he's owning this polygraph. Like, he's literally broken her frame, dude. Like, he's guilty as fuck. Not as guilty as this ad break that I'm about to serve you, but because it is top of the hour. At the top of the hour, every hour, we run a 60-second ad break. Some of you notice, some of you don't. And of course, there's a way to no longer see those ads, and that way is by subscribing. You can subscribe for $5 or for free. How much did Twitch pay you for this contract? Well, oh my God, I'm sweating so much. That was a fucking solid segue, baby. Or you can use an ad block. Or a VPN. But here's the 1 minute ad break now.
Yes, what? What does yes mean? Yes means
So you're saying yes, you have committed
No,
a crime?
I said, what does yes mean? I'm asking a question.
Hold on.
Because McCullough makes it clear he will not engage with control questions, in addition to being reticent to providing straight yes or no answers that the polygraph requires, it's quite clear that whatever chart his exam yields will be even more useless than a standard polygraph test, if such a thing is even possible. Regardless, Agent Lau eventually attempts to conduct an exam in earnest.
Is your correct name Jack McCullough?
It is.
I really like this guy's point of view. Mad Orchard, like you can tell the narrator's point of view is like, this polygraph shit is pseudoscience. Whereas I feel like even with like JCS, I feel like he gives it a little bit more credibility. Like he will establish that polygraph tests are inadmissible in court, but still, it's like important to figure out certain things. Now the narrator is not as good as JCS. But I feel like his point of view politically is like interesting.
Yes or no? All in place.
Yes.
Okay. Do you intend to answer all of my questions truthfully?
Well, I intend to answer questions truthfully. Maybe not all.
I need a yes or no.
No.
So you are not going to answer all my questions truthfully.
Read my rights again. If you ask a question I don't want to answer, you're not going to get an answer.
But just hear me out. Just listen to the questions first, okay, before you start objecting. Okay? Do you intend to answer all of my questions truthfully?
Okay.
Yes or no?
Yes.
Okay. Were you born in Belfast?
Yes.
Are you hoping I will make a mistake on this test?
No.
What is 3 plus 3 minus 2?
4.
Okay, don't say just give me one word response, okay? Have you taken any drugs, alcohol?
No.
Let me finish reading the question. Okay?
All right.
Have you taken any drugs, alcohol, or medication you haven't told me about?
No.
Are you planning to try to manipulate this test?
No.
Have you researched any information about polygraph before coming here today?
No.
Okay. Now, this set of test questions I'm only
right.
going to ask you once, okay? But I won't go by it nearly as fast as I just read it, because after every question, I'm going to wait for a certain amount of time to elapse to chart your reactions. Regarding whether or not you killed Maria on December 3rd, 1957, do you intend to answer truthfully each question about that?
Absolutely.
Yes or
Yes.
no? Okay. Did you kill Maria?
No.
Let me finish reading the question.
All right, son.
Did you kill Maria on December 3rd, 1957? And when I say kill Maria, that includes everything that went into this thing.
I love Maria. I would not kill her.
The abduction, the sexual assault, the taking her away from that area, discarding her body.
Go ahead. I'm good for it.
That's what it covers.
Yeah.
Okay? You understand that?
Finally.
Okay. So I'll ask you again, did you kill Maria on December 3rd, 1957?
No.
With all the things that it entails?
Correct.
Abducting her, dumping her body, sexually assaulting her, killing her?
No.
Okay. On December 3rd, 1957, did you kill Maria?
No.
I've never seen a more guilty motherfucker. I'm sorry, dude. I mean, this polygraph test is like dog shit, more so than most polygraph tests, because like she's not even doing a good job, because he very clearly knows what he's doing. But he's failed like 11 vibe checks since he started the polygraph test.
No.
In the first 30 years of your life, do you remember ever having sexual contact with your sisters? And that means fondling, kissing, rubbing, penetration of any kind, whether it's digital or with your penis.
I'm not going to answer that question.
Why not?
It's none of your business, and it has nothing to do with Maria.
It does.
It doesn't.
That's bullshit. You can establish a pattern of behavior from that. So that absolutely does pertain to the case, for the record.
It does.
Sorry.
Without the ability to gauge McCullough's reaction to control questions, his responses to the relevant questions will not be analysable, and so the polygraph is aborted and Jack McCullough is taken back to the interrogation room.
So that didn't go too good, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's all right.
Are you going to arrest me?
Quite honestly, I haven't made a decision yet because I've got some issues with this that I can't resolve
Okay.
without you.
Okay.
And so, what I wanted to do was, have you again kind of think through, because again, I appreciate the fact that we're talking a long time ago, okay? And, if we can come up with, alternatives.
Okay, you haven't got shit, or the FBI would have arrested me. I'm done talking to you.
Well, that makes my evening short then, doesn't it?
Yep.
Okay. Well, is he free to go?
No.
Okay. So,
Did you say no?
I said no. Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Did you do any research on me after you found out who I was?
I don't know who you are.
You know who I am.
I know you're Mike Szynski.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's what I know.
No, I'm a cold case detective, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Detective Mike Szynski spends some time questioning McCullough, who again insists that he will not discuss anything that is not directly related to Maria Ridolf's abduction, and also continues to push the weird sex talk kid lead.
You got to realize, you're kind of like in a world of shit right now, okay? And you're going to have to give up the truth, okay?
Bro, that's Mike Wazowski, dude. That's the fucking classic guy.
To save your own ass, to be smart, okay? So just listen to me, that's all I'm asking, all right?
He's the man.
There's certain things that happen here that I know happened, you know happened here. Once again, I'm not saying from reviewing this file.
Calling from chat. I don't know what his name is. I thought that was his name.
I did not.
I'm not saying you did. Okay.
That's what I'm investigating for, right?
That's exactly what
I thought that was his name. Is it not?
All right.
Okay. I really think that one of the problems with what happened here is I believe, from reading all the reports that I did, from the interview of that other little girl who was there. Okay.
What other girl?
There was two girls there.
I don't know anything about a second girl.
Okay. Yeah. Well, there were two.
I don't know why. Is there a particular reason why chat's being extra annoying today? I really don't know. What's happening? What's going on right now? Like, this is the first time. This is like, it's new. Today, question mark? No, I'm saying like more so than usual. Because like chat's always annoying from time to time, but more so than usual
there were
today.
Two girls out there, and they were playing out there when I believe that you came up there.
What?
Now listen to me, and then you're going to ask me the questions. And once again, I'm not saying that you killed anybody. You understand me?
Oh, man.
Okay. So anyway, yeah, there was another girl there also, and you tried to. Maybe I'll refresh your memory.
Was she kidnapped too?
No, she wasn't.
How old is she?
She was the same age. They were best friends.
Oh, really?
Yeah, best friends.
Okay.
And she's still alive today. And actually, I think you met the two detectives that were here. Actually, another detective.
Yeah.
They interviewed her.
Yeah.
Okay. And once again, I'm saying this is where I believe that you're hiding something. Okay. And I'll tell you why I think you're hiding something.
Oh, really?
I'm going to tell you you're wrong right now.
Okay, well, you better hear what I say first before you say I'm wrong, okay? What I believe kind of happened here is I believe that you did go out there. And
Did not.
Oh, that's fine. Just let me, then you can answer some questions. So these two girls were out there, and they knew that the guy, and they knew as Johnny. And Johnny said, and he was very nice to the girl, and he knew Maria, and he offered them a piggyback ride. And I believe that what happened is that that person was you. And
oh my God!
And they did give you a piggyback ride, but I didn't say that girl didn't say you killed her. You understand that?
McCullough again argues he has a rock-solid alibi, and Szynski
Oh my God!
continues to probe for specifics that can be offered, as well as trying to get McCullough to engage in further discussion of his relationship with his family.
Your mom, who's deceased now.
Yeah.
Okay. You're real tight with her.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay. Like you were from once again.
I called my mom every month of my life. I loved my mom to death. And my mom was brilliant. When she died, my dad was asked, how many people do you think are going to come to the funeral? And Dad says, oh, maybe 30 to 40. 350 people showed up.
Did you show up?
No, I was in the service.
They wouldn't let you get home from military leave for your mom's funeral? Were you in Vietnam then?
I don't remember where I was.
Because Eileen Tessier passed in 1994, it's safe to say that McCullough was not stationed in Vietnam. His sisters have been clear that they explicitly told him he was not welcome at the funeral.
Now, I told you there was 2 little girls there. One girl got killed, and the other little girl. She said the person who came there, who said his name was Johnny, who lived nearby, and gave him a piggyback ride. They said he was very nice, and they said he was one of these guys here, and her names, and she signed her name on the bottom of that photograph. Can you picture anybody out here that you know in this photograph?
I don't know any of these guys, and I don't think any of these guys are from Sycamore.
The photo third from the left is the man that Kathy Sigmund positively identified as Johnny. It is John Tessier. Jack McCullough has just claimed to not be able to recognize a photo of himself.
Let's take a look at every picture and turn it over to just definitely start with one and just look at it and just.
Bro, how the fuck do you not know? What the fuck? Okay. Hello?
No. These guys aren't from Sycamore.
Okay. Everything else the guy looks like.
Hello? What is it like? Oh, you don't understand. Mirrors didn't exist in the fucking 60s, dude. So I don't know what I used to look like back then. There was no reflective pool that I could see my face. I've never seen my face, dude, until recently. This is crazy.
I don't know.
You know what that guy looks like?
He might look like me, but he's too feminine looking.
That's you from a wedding picture. Obviously, that's Xerox.
Hmm?
It's a Xerox picture. That was you. It's a little whited out right there. That's you from a wedding picture that was put into this montage that the girl said it was Johnny that gave the girl the piggyback ride. Once again, she didn't say you killed him, but that's what they're saying. Number 2, listen to this part. Number 2, okay? Jack, look at me. Number 2, okay? You know why this other case got other information we received? This is all documented. This other information that we received.
Bro, how was it not like signed, sealed, and delivered when his mom literally on her deathbed confessed? I really don't understand how it doesn't work that way. I guess maybe it's a good thing that the justice system doesn't work that way, but like, it's like pretty fucking solid. You know what I mean? I guess it wasn't like a actually signed confession with like witnesses. So I know she can't testify. I understand. I remembered that she died. Like, in my mind, she said that, and then they were like, oh, let's get your testimony. You know what I mean? But then I remember she's fucking dead, so she kind of can't do that.
Know who said that? Know who told us that you did this? Someone who I think is from all the information I read, is a very smart person, a very intelligent person, and someone who had lived with a bunch of guilt for a long time before she passed away.
He's juicing him.
Yeah, you're going to say my mom, that's bullshit.
No, why do you say it's bullshit?
Because she wouldn't suspect me of murder, and she knew where I was.
I'm telling you exactly. I'll show you the documentation that said that.
Why does he sound like a baby?
that she said that you're the one who did this, and that she said she was ashamed of it. And getting back to this was that other little girl who said, and this is her signature right down here. Once again, this is Xerox. I said, now Jack, once again, I still think you're covering for somebody. I think somebody did something there. I think you were there when this, not when the girl got killed, but I think you were there when the girl got the whole piggyback ride. I'm not saying you took the girl and killed her. I'm saying you were there, and then you walked off, or somebody else came up there, and you remembered this, and you're trying to hide this or cover for somebody, and I don't know who you're trying to cover for. If it's one of these other,
I'm not
guys,
covering
I don't
for
know
anybody, and I don't know what you're talking about.
Whatever else you might want to say about Jack McCullough, he is not a stupid man, and he never comes close to embracing the alternative question Detective Szynski attempts to put in front of him, of being responsible for Maria Ridolf's piggyback ride, but not her abduction and murder. Over the course of the next half hour, Detective Szynski continues to confront McCullough with Sigmund's positive identification, his history of sex abuse allegations, his unused train ticket, and his mother's deathbed confession. But this mounting pile of circumstantial evidence will not prove to be enough for him to relent and offer a confession. It was, however, plenty for the judge that ultimately presided over his trial. On September 14th, 2012, 55 years after Maria's life was taken, Jack McCullough was convicted of the crime. He was handed a life sentence without the possibility of parole for 20 years, at which point he would be 93 years old. It must have been somewhat of a bittersweet moment for the living members of Maria's family and the Tessier sisters as they stood on the courthouse steps after McCullough's fate was decided. On one hand, the man who had tormented their minds for so long was finally being held accountable. But on the other, nothing could take back the evil things he had done, or the fact that he had gotten away with it for so long. All the same, even though his being brought to justice was long overdue, Jack McCullough's case does have a silver lining to it. A message to any victim who ever feels like giving up hope, or monster who thinks they've well and truly run out the clock. Justice doesn't have an expiry date. And even if it feels like 1 million people have turned their back on you, that doesn't mean the next one will. Whenever you make that next phone call, or send off that next email, you never know who will be on the other end of it. It may just be that one person who will finally set things right. There's just one problem. Jack McCullough was totally innocent. Now bear in mind, people are seldom found innocent, as opposed to not guilty. Usually, acquittals come down to a judge or jury determining there is an insufficient level of proof to justify conviction, but you can't necessarily take that as a proclamation the person on trial did not commit the crime. This is not the case with Jack
Fuck you, chat. Okay?
McCullough. Jack
Chatters.
McCullough positively did not murder Maria Ridolf. He couldn't have, just like he said in his interrogation. Why that is boils down to two facts. 1. John Tessier placed a collect call from a post office in Rockford to Sycamore at 6:57 p.m. on December 3rd. 2. Maria Ridolf's abduction in Sycamore is firmly established to have taken place between 6:30 and 7 p.m. on December 3rd. Before breaking down why these facts categorically rule John Tessier out, let's establish why they are facts, not just well-founded opinions. When the FBI initially
I literally don't believe I was spoiled, and I was spoiled, and I still don't believe it. Like, that's the worst part.
investigated John Tessier, he mentioned the collect call when giving his
Because I have fucking crazy vibe checks, dude. I just listen. I'm a vibe check Andy, dude. I mean, I would have tossed him in there just to be safe. You know what I mean?
alibi. The FBI did their due diligence in following up on this, and the resulting paperwork of that investigation is publicly available to this day. They spoke to the general manager of the Sycamore Ogle Telephone Company, who was able to confirm that a collect call was...
Also, he still fucking sexually assaulted his sisters. Whether or not he did it, he didn't pass the vibe check. Exactly. That's what I'm saying. Thank you. I think you guys are forgetting that when he was like, you know, kind of an adult or, you know, a young adult, definitely either 18 or close to 18, he like raped his little baby sisters. So that's kind of, it's kind of fucked up.
Was in fact placed by a John S. Tessier to the home of Ralph E. Tessier in Sycamore at 6:57 p.m. and the call was placed from the phone number 2-9297. That level of detail might...
Bro, this fucking thing is so old. That was the phone number back then, dude. They didn't need more numbers, dog. What the fuck? That's how old this case is, bro. Hey, what's up? I'm calling from 3. Hey, what's happening? Wait, let me call my friend over at 11, dude. What the fuck, dude?
Might seem a bit excessive, but you'll get why we're making note of it in a moment. Before that though, a bit of an explainer on the time frame of Maria's abduction, because there is some contention around this, even though, as you'll hopefully agree very soon, there really shouldn't be. The FBI established Maria's abduction as taking place between 6:45 and 7 p.m. That time frame was based off of multiple accounts from neighbors, as well as Maria's own family, most importantly, her father Michael. Now granted, memory is malleable, especially in the midst of crisis, but not all memories are equal, and you can be a lot more confident in the time someone places a recent memory if they are basing that time off of a connection to something specific. Maria's brother, mother, and father all told the FBI that she came into the house to get her doll after 6:30. Her father Michael said he wasn't able to place the exact time because he was preoccupied by a television show he was watching, the Western series Cheyenne, which aired at 6:30. When Larry Cott was reinvestigating the case, he knew the FBI timeline, coupled with John Tessier's phone call, was a big problem. An insurmountable one, in fact. We can see this in the way he bent over backward to create a new timeline that could place Maria's abduction significantly earlier than 6:30, let alone 6:45. What Cott essentially did was write off all eyewitness accounts that placed Maria's abduction in the time frame the FBI established as wrong.
Okay, that's the worst part because, like, you know, my vibe check on him was, I think, still correct. I maintain that position, but I should have vibe checked the cop, and I really didn't. And that's, I feel like we've been watching too much propaganda where I just like literally don't even assume that anymore, you know?
And then
I even said, like, that's my boy Mike Wazowski or whatever the fuck his name is.
Combed through interviews to find anyone who could be read as placing it earlier. One account he found was from an oil delivery man named Tom Brady, who by his estimation saw the girls playing when he was making a delivery around 6:15 p.m. Cott cross-referenced this with a bus driver who drove past the corner where the girls were playing at about 6:30 p.m. and claimed to have not seen them. There's absolutely no reason to disbelieve the bus driver's account and the time he placed it, but it doesn't do much if anything to help move the timeline back, because the bus driver would have no reason to be keeping an eye out for two little girls playing on the street, so it's entirely plausible they were there and he just didn't make note of them. That you would put more credence in the bus driver than Maria Ridolph's own family, coupled with several other neighbors, is inexplicable, unless of course your only goal was to move the timeline to implicate McCullough. Larry Cott ultimately concluded Maria was abducted no later than 6:20 p.m.
Dude, this was great, by the way. This was a fucking fantastic video. Like, all the way up until the end, you're just like, oh, fuck this guy, and then it's like, boom, just kidding, bitch.
Also reasoned, just because McCullough could prove he placed a call from Rockford at 6:57 p.m. didn't mean he could prove from where within Rockford the call was placed. If he abducted Maria Ridolph on the street corner in Sycamore at 6:20 p.m., or even a little earlier, and placed the call from the outskirts of town in Rockford, he would have even more of a window to make the commute. This is another illustration of how much tunnel vision Larry Cott was operating under. Remember,
oh, the upload date is April Fool's? Is that why?
It wasn't established as being merely a phone booth somewhere in Rockford. The manager at the phone company confirmed it as being from a specific number, 2-9297, and that specific number can be traced to the area in Rockford that John Tessier claimed he placed the call from at the time. With all of this in mind, let's take a look at the sort of commute we're talking about, and you should quickly get an idea of why investigators were trying to buy every minute they could to make this work. Here is a Google Maps route from the corner Maria was taken from to the outskirts of Rockford. So we're actually going with Larry Cott's hypothesis to start with, even though it's not credible. Now bear in mind, this is far from a precise picture of what the situation would have been in 1957, but all the differences you need to factor in add time to Tessier's best case scenario commute. The roads were different. He would have been driving in snowy conditions and using a car from the 50s. But going with this modern projection that doesn't take any of those factors into account, Google's quickest route is still a 31-minute drive covering 24 miles. So even if you allow that Maria was taken at 6:20 p.m., which there really is no reason to, and that John Tessier placed the call from the outskirts of town, which he didn't, and you don't take any of the variables we just mentioned into account, which you absolutely should, still, even then, the only way John Tessier's alibi doesn't still cover him in Larry Cott's scenario is that perhaps his abducting Maria Rodolph would not literally break the laws of time and space. He would have less than 10 minutes to spare from the time he ran off with Maria to arriving at the phone booth. A feat that, while maybe not literally impossible, is so far-fetched that it should be discounted by any reasonable person.
So who did it, bro? What the fuck?
Then when you place Maria Rodolph's abduction where it actually was, and you put John Tessier in the actual area we know he was when he made that phone call, you still don't even need to take the roads, conditions, and car into account.
Bro, this shit sucks because it's like, it's not a solved cold case. That was the debate.
Before you find the scenario,
like, this is not the coldest case ever solved. This is the coldest case that went unsolved.
Is going that extra mile and breaking the laws of time and space. There is simply no way it could have happened. So you might now be wondering, how did Jack McCullough get convicted? The FBI files were ruled inadmissible. Yeah, ain't that a hoot? Kind of hard defending yourself when the key piece of evidence exonerating you is off the table. As you would imagine, there was an appeals process, and it resulted in the vacating of McCullough's conviction on April 15th of 2016, once the FBI files were taken into account. And a little less than a year after that, he was issued a certificate.
That's so fucked up. I mean, fuck this guy. Like, he is still a piece of shit, but ultimately, like, he should be able to sue the fucking government for damages.
Of innocence, categorically clearing his name in the eyes of the law.
Dude, that's crazy. The mom
sorry
just
for
lied.
essentially lying to you.
Oh, you know what? I wonder if the mom was like delirious and meant like he raped the sisters or something, or the sister just framed him as revenge. Like the mom never said anything and the sisters just framed him as revenge.
For over 45 minutes. But it wasn't done to waste your time. It was to illustrate a point that's always worth keeping in mind whenever you open a newspaper or turn on the television. There's always more than one way to tell a story, and the way this story was told for most of the video's duration was very much in line with how it was being told by the mainstream press while everything was unfolding at the time. And it's not as if McCullough's recorded alibi wasn't known of during that period. He and his family were screaming about it to anyone who would listen. He even explicitly made the point about the phone call during part of the interrogation we deliberately fought through.
If I made a phone call from Rockford, which you've got...
I know right where it's at, yeah.
And at 7 o'clock, Sycamore is 30 miles away.
Motherfucker goes, or maybe he had a partner? Yeah, dude, you think 18-year-olds are like doing... Like they're doing gang raping? Like what the fuck are you talking about? Maybe he had a partner. I don't know who did it, but you're ridiculous if you think he did it.
From Rockford.
Yeah, organized.
But just like it didn't suit the investigator's case, nor did it suit the story most of the media.
That's possible. But he was still not at home when the crime happened and his mother lied, so why did he lie about being home? I don't know, but it doesn't matter. It's like physically impossible for him to be there.
Media wanted to tell. The coldest case ever solved is just a much more enticing headline than a half-century later, one more dead end. And you can make that first headline work even without the facts on your side, so long as you're in charge of telling the story. Just choose what to leave in, what to leave out, what to emphasize, and what to brush over. When given subjective behavioral cues, interpret them as uncharitably as possible. Whenever something comes up that looks good, pick as many holes in it as you can. Whenever something comes up that looks bad, leave it hanging. And to be clear, there are plenty of things in this case that really did look very bad for Jack McCullough, matching Kathy Sigmund's physical description, her eventual positive identification of him, his history of sex abuse allegations, more than we even had time to get into, by the way, the mysteriously unused train ticket, the creepy piggyback ride incident with Pamela Long, the strange disappearance of his adult daughter, though to be fair, there's no evidence linking him to that incident either, and his mother's deathbed confession, according to the account of his estranged sister who openly despises him. All of these things look bad. Terrible, in fact, and this video isn't striving to argue that Jack McCullough is a really nice guy, but he did not kill Maria Ridolph, because no amount of things that look bad can ever trump the cold, hard constraints of reality. And it's for that reason that, unfortunately, Maria Ridolph's story remains one without an ending.
I don't know, man. It's still, he does seem like a sussy little baka. Like, I don't know. I mean, he's definitely sussy as fuck.